Hey, Vinny Malkus Outdoors. And I know most people like to watch stuff, to get their mind off of things. They like to watch hunting, fishing videos, and well, maybe not so much hunting anymore on YouTube. If you're on Rumble, then yeah, you probably get some of that action. Um, but we're going to talk a little bit about more on a political nature with regards to the outdoors, and I mean, not really. It's political adjacent, I guess. But I talk to my grandfather quite often, and he's the guy that got me into fishing, and inevitably the conversation always gets down to about the cost of just going fishing anymore. And and this has been over years, and it just keeps getting worse and worse. So the other day we were talking, and that popped in my head once again. And then I was listening to the tournament director of One Bass referring to the increased cost of getting out to Arizona to do the Arizona Open. Sorry, I got something in my throat. But which I'm not going to this year, and there's a big reason of that is the cost of fuel to get out there, and all the other miscellaneous things you got to do to make that thing happen. And I'm just not in that position to do it now. The U.S. Open, that I need to go to that one, but will I? I don't know. It depends on where we're at here in a few months. But you can let's axe that the gas and the hotels and everything. Here's what we talk about, my grandfather and I, a lot. When it comes to it always happens time of year where we're registering a boat or we're getting ready to go to Lake Powell or something like that. I've noticed it over the years too in other states, but primarily out west, it's really bad. So the average guy, whatever, I think the last time I looked at the IRS statistics, the median is like 30,000 average person makes. I know that sounds pretty low, but it is. So there's people underneath there. There's people way above that. Okay, let's take that. So what does the average hunter and angler make? I don't know, but let's just assume that he's in a family or whatever, 40, 50 grand, 50 something, I think is the median household. Now let's take, if he's got a boat or something like that, you axe a couple, throw on a couple payments or whatnot. Okay. Now let's look at if you want to go fishing. Let's say you want to go to Lake Mead and you want to fish the U.S. Open. If you're a tournament angler, maybe you want to take the family out to Vegas or something like that, and I want to wipe something off here. You want to, whatever it is. It could be Vegas. It could be Lake Powell. It could be any national park. But just for instance, you want to go to Vegas and do that. So you better have the right fishing license. So if you have in Arizona, I think you can get away with it. I think there's some not crosstalk, but I mean, they apply where you can use it on Colorado River reservoirs, but you still got to go get the stamp. So you better go get the mussel stamp. And a lot of states are like that. Wyoming, Montana, Colorado now, Utah. You got to go buy this mussel stamp and you got to slap it on your boat. Doesn't necessarily mean anything. You're just buying a stamp. What does it fund? I don't know. It funds the little checkpoints every once in a while they have out there that they actually go through your boat and then put whatever the case. Some of these people that are checking your boat, they don't even, I've had them where they don't even really know what a propeller is. But anyway, that's besides the point. We can talk about the incompetence of some of these checkpoints another time, and they always throw out some little pictures of they stopped this and that every once in a while, and sometimes you're like, well, that's the most egregious case of it. It's like some guy's whole boat's covered in mussels and somehow he's traversing the country with it, anyway, and they stopped him from putting these mussels in a lake. But so you buy this tag, you got to get that. Then you got to, let's talk about the fishing license. You buy a fishing license. Usually some of these states, you buy the fishing license and you might have to buy the other state's fishing license if it's a bordering state, or sometimes they reciprocate. That's the word I was looking for before. Sometimes you need a special stamp to have like warm water or cold water. Other states, you buy the fishing license, but then you have to buy a mandatory conservation license. And then they always ask you for donations. So by the time you get through all this, then you go to the national parks. If you're going to a national park, you better get ready to pay out the yin-yang for that, because you're going to show up, and a lot of other places do this too. You show up, okay, you want a vehicle? How many people you got in there? Okay, well, that's whatever, $30 for the day. Oh, wait, you got a boat too, a trailer. Hey, that's another $10 whatever dollars for the day. Next thing you know, you're racking up hundreds of dollars just to go on one fishing trip. Not to mention gas and all this other jazz. So how does the average guy do it? I don't understand. This baffles me, especially when it comes to public waters or federal lands, that theoretically you're already paying taxes for, especially if you are a hunter and angler and you're buying equipment. There's a tax on there that's federal. I don't, and it's incredible that we're still paying these astronomical. Everything is just keep going up. Everything keeps going up. But that's let's go on to another part of this. So a lot of these states, well, there's a growing number of states that have hunting and fishing as constitutional rights. I know I just glossed over that. That's a whole nother, whole large topic of the cost of actually buying the license. Oh, I will touch on one thing besides the constitutional right. Let's go back real quick. So it was brought to light to me of a state that was doing an extra elk draw. I guess I don't know if it was this year or last year. And I'm not going to name the state because I don't want fact check me or something on this. This is one of my friends that's a big elk hunter, and he was talking about it because somebody in his family got a draw on a tag, and they're going to do it, but he did, and he's going to apply for this tag, I guess, because they came out and they're like, hey, we're going to, normally a good state, normally a good game of fish, but hey, we're going to throw out extra tag. We want to, knock some of these elk, because sometimes they have some issues with ranchers and stuff, and some of the development, which that's a whole nother issue, the development that's encroaching on some of this habitat. But anyway, so he was going to put in there, and they advertise it, and thousands of people put in there, right? Of course, when you go in and you do these draws online, you pay like a non-refundable fee, one way or the other. And then if you get drawn, then they take out whatever. A lot of these states, it's like $500-$600 if you're out of state. In state, a couple $100 to get an elk. But that's besides the point. But you're going to have this one fee that's always going to be taken up. And I remember all of a sudden he told me all of a sudden they came out and there's only like a few tags, but thousands of people had applied for it unwittingly, knowing that it was just going to be drawn for a couple extra tags. But they made it seem like, hey, there's a secondary draw. And I think he said they collected like some $300-something thousand just off the mandatory fee. So it was just like pretty much a big money scheme. In my mind, that's the first thing that popped in my head. He says, like, that's a big money. Why not just do that every year, right? We got a couple extra tags, just collect these fees like that. You can pay 4 or 5 game warden salaries just with that. It's crazy. That's one anecdotal event, but it's been pretty clear that there's always some extra fee. So like I said, there's, eventually you had the hunting or fishing license. Some states now, if you want to go hunting, let's say you want to go big game hunting, whether you're out of state or in state, hey, you get the big game tag. Wait, you can't just use the big game tag. We're going to force you to buy either a small game tag or like a bear tag or whatever it is. You have to buy this other license that goes on to it. It has nothing to do with why you're there or wanting to hunt. And if you did want to hunt that, you'd go buy that, right? But no, you got to do it. Or some states you buy the fishing license, but then if you happen to catch it, you're in a lake with a trout in it, you got to go get the trout license, the cold water stamp. And some states, you go and you got your fishing license, you go to the place and you buy the tag there just to go sit around shoulder to shoulder with a bunch of, because they got seasons on it. But anyway, so the costs are astronomical now. If you want to let me know your thoughts, or maybe, I'm sure you observe this in your state. I wish there was a counter trend, and that goes to the constitutional amendments in a lot of states that are making hunting and fishing rights. Now that is a good thing, right? And you would think normally that would be a good thing, hopefully on the cost side of the issue, but it's not. It's not, because in my opinion, it's a falsehood to call it a right if you still have to go buy a hunting and fishing license to do it. Now, we can have the argument whether harvesting an animal or a fish or whatever, the crustacean or whatever the case may be, that would cross the bounds where they could possibly tax it or make you buy a stamp or something. And, that could make sense in the legal sense, I guess, but to actively go like catch and release or go during hunting season and spawn stock or whatever, or you go hunting during hunting season and you don't harvest an animal. To me, there's some lines that need to be drawn at calling it a right as opposed to a privilege. Then, especially on the fishing side, it's very cut and dry to me. It's like, dude, if you go catch and release fishing in a state where it's a constitutional right, you should not be paying a license. If you are harvesting fish, then yes, because you're actively harvesting fish. You're not just fishing, right? That's my opinion. You can say what you want, but if you're going to call this a right, if you're going to pass it, it's in the state constitution, then this is a right. and the state can't tax it away because essentially they're taking your right away if you think about it, and then they're making you buy a license or whatever to be able to do it, or under penalty of some fee or fine, and in some cases take all your crap away. So anyway, we're already at 10 minutes on this, but this is the Get in Your Brain Housing group that, we all enjoy hunting and fishing. We all like going out there in springtime, and it's something we like to pass down to our kids and grandkids. But it is under assault in various ways, not only legislatively, whether there's like groups like PETA or whatnot, but also from our own government internally, from excess fees and excess regulation when it comes to actually in trying to enjoy this. And it becomes a burden almost. I hate it. I want to go out there. I don't want to see a bunch of crap. And I don't want to pay out an arm and a leg just to do it. I want to go out there and enjoy nature. I want to enjoy a fish tugging on my line. I want to go out there and spot a mule deer and not see a bunch of yard birds out there, running around, or a bunch of paved roads. And I don't want to pay a bunch of money for that. And it's getting worse and worse. And I don't know, we constantly say we need to get the next generation involved. But what are we doing that for? So they develop a love for this and then they can't afford to do it when they get older or pass that down to their kids? Because we're at the point now where it's hard to pass any of these traditions down to our own children now because of the cost and the burden on the average person. And unless you want this to be an elitist event, the outdoors, then you better step up and do something about it, whether it be especially on the federal level, but where we can't have a real effect as at the local level. But the federal level, like I said, the national parks and everything, they're really getting you. But on the local level, you could really have an effect on that. And then we can push it up further. But that's it. If you care to like and subscribe, I'd appreciate it. Otherwise, probably some more videos like this, and then we'll probably try to get out and fish or do some stuff, maybe some coyote hunting. I don't know. We'll try to get out there, but the weather's not looking so hot, and I've got a lot of other things going on. But these kind of issues, I don't mind. When we have this kind of downtime, I like talking about some outdoor news, hunting, fishing, and just in general, like we just talked about today, kind of the cost and the the politics side of things. Anyway, I'll talk to you later. Peace.